Hi guys, so thank you so much for jumping onto my stories today and listening to me babble, right? And I'm hoping that this will be useful babble, okay? So we're talking about renting from a super tired mum who is based in Saudi, and Zara from the Archie Effect from Canada. So we're talking about our respective countries, sort of renting tips, and sharing that with you. So I really do hope that there's someone out there that would really benefit from this. So do share if you find that it's not relevant to you, but it could be relevant to someone else as well. And then of course these are sort of topics that you could sort of apply if you're actually buying a house, or even if you're moving temporarily into an area and you want to rent before you buy, because that's always a very, very good idea as well. And then plus we'll be sharing decor tips at the end, so I'm sure you'll be finding that useful. And before that we'll be sharing with you where to look for a property, how to decide what property to choose, and the whole moving process. Right, so there are a number of places that you can start looking for a place to rent, and I'm talking about the whole of UK. You can obviously go to Rightmove, you can go to Gumtree, you can go to Zoopla. You can also ask have word of mouth as well. So if you know friends and family that are actually already living in that area, to have a look out, or if they know anyone who may be already renting or moving out, they can say, oh, they can always keep you in mind. So if you are looking to rent in that area, you should always sort of put that word out. That's quite helpful. And then also do check the local newspapers in the area. So so specifically I'm in Maidenhead, so I would look into the local Maidenhead newspaper, or I'll look into the local agencies that are based here. So landlords are sort of advertising in different ways. Some do it privately, and if they're doing it privately, they'll go through Gumtree, and I think it is Zoopla, and there's a few others as well. Sometimes the landlords would just ask their agents to sort of advertise on their behalf and do all the paperwork, and then they'll manage, or they'll just say that you just find us a tenant and that's it. Okay, so those are the sort of places that you can start to look for a property to rent in, and some of them are applicable if you are moving, if you are buying a house as well. So once you've decided on the area that you want to book in a viewings for the properties, you should do that in sort of a week or more in advance. Not everyone is available to do weekday viewings, so be ready to take a day off or go up on a Saturday to do the viewings. You can request to do viewings via mobile, so via video conferencing, but I've had a few where they've said that we're not comfortable, or we don't know how to do that, so we can't do that, so they can't accommodate. So do look out for that. And then also, I think one of the most important things is when selecting a property, make yourself a priority list, and making sure that you've got listed the reasons why you need to be where you want to go. So whether it's being near work, so you would want to say that, okay, it's right next to the M4, I'm saying, as an example, or if you're driving, that is, or if you're taking a train, you want to be right next to the station or a bus stop, or both really. So you do have to have your own priority list. If you have kids, you want to make sure you're near the school of your choice. So do look into the local council as well and see what their sort of waiting lists are like and what the process is, whether you have to do a transfer or not, depending on the time of the year that you're moving as well. And then you'd want to look at in terms of the amenities as well, what's around and what's near. Everyone has different lists in terms of that, so do what suits you and your family. And then in terms of the house as well, have a list of how many bedrooms there are, and be mindful that it depends on who you're renting through as well, but if you've got sort of a girl or a boy between the ages of 5 and 16, they're expected not to be sharing a room, so you do have to consider that as well. And then you want to consider how many bathrooms you have, what the kitchen is like, or the dining room, and these are really sort of dependent on you. So do check that. Do make sure you have your priority list. One of the things that we did was, when we were trying to decide between 3 or 4 properties that we wanted to go for, we made a checklist, and we just sort of gave them points, as you can say, and listed out all the benefits, and then we listed out all the disadvantages that property had. That kind of made it more easy to eyeball and sort of weigh out which one is better. The other thing is that you would want to consider when selecting a house is the internet connection, the council tax band. That is different across each council, and it is different across the whole of your UK as well. And then you might want to look at the garden, if there is a garden or a garage or car park space. With the garden, you are expected, depending on your contract, you are expected to maintain it. So you might want to think of what sort of garden you're going for. If it's high maintenance or if it's low maintenance, like ours is quite high maintenance garden. It might not suit everyone. If you haven't got the time, you're going to struggle, and sometimes we do struggle in maintaining the garden, and we have to take time out in order to do that. So have that sort of questioned in the contract before you actually go ahead as well, and when you're selecting a property. So once you've decided, you place a what would you say, you make an offer, right? So you make an offer, and you decide, and you tell the agent, if you're going through an agency, or the landlord directly, and you negotiate. That's the time when you negotiate the price of the rent, any additional maintenance required, any extra white goods that you need. So for example, a dishwasher, that would be the time to do it. Any extra cleaning that you're expecting as well. And you will be expected to pay a deposit. There are some agencies and things that are sort of deposit free, and some agencies not based in England that are not taking agency fees. Then you will have a reference check, so they'll go through your employer, your previous address, credit history, and they'll do those sort of checks. The other thing is that you can the other thing at that stage is also that they're going to do is check your pay slip as well. If your pay does not reflect whether you can afford to be in that house or not, you can actually show them a deposit or bank statement saying that, okay, you've got this sort of money to supplement your pay. So there are those sort of things there to consider as well. When you get your keys, you'll have an inventory, and you should take pictures at that stage. I think that's quite useful, especially if you notice something that they might not have noticed or might have slipped. It's always good to have your own set of pictures, photographs. So things like, say you've chipped wood on a windowsill, you can say that, well, that was there before we moved in. Otherwise you will get charged. You might get charged when you're moving out, because when you move out, you're meant to be giving the property back in the state that it was pretty much given. So those are things that you should be considering. One last thing is, when you're moving, have a few days, or depending on the distance that you're moving, of an overlap from your place that you're moving out into the place that you're moving in, and that kind of depends on the situation where you are as well. You can actually hire not delivery vans, but vans as well, that moving people, that will help you move, from someone who will come and pick up each and everything in your house and put it into your new house, or someone who would just drive you, or you can rent a van and actually do it yourself as well, and that is usually the cheapest option. So those are the things that, when it comes down to moving, that you would have to consider. So, of course, I'm going to stand behind my green wall to talk about decor. So we painted just this wall here in a beautiful green, so that, we can bring some sort of statement and make this sort of this room more stylish and more homely and friendly, and so we're more comfortable. Please do check with your landlord, whether you can actually drill holes and paint the walls. Alternatively, you can use wall decals and sticky adhesives as well, in order to hang things up and make sort of feature walls as well. So, and of course, use plants. The amount of plants I've got in here, they make the place so alive, and you can use rugs and things. I've got various things on my Instagram feed that you can look into and be inspired by. So I hope that you've enjoyed this story hop, and great if you've made it to the end. And